Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer and I'm still playing Talisman. Well, that might well be my last video of this pretty long series, because the Warlock is already now in the inner region at the Plane of Peril, so he's got a pretty good chance to make it to the Crown of Command. We have here the Highlander, and he's not far from the Eyrie, where he might fight the Eagle King then. So, and from there he can choose to move to any space in the outer or middle region. So he could move to the Portal of Power and then also try to enter the inner region. That's so there is also a chance for him. The Tavern Maid has a problem. She can now move here to the temple because she asked the boatsman to do this for her. But the problem then is she doesn't have a talisman. So she needs to find a talisman. So first she's got to go to the Warlock's cave, and she's got to be a little lucky then. But okay, so for now she will move here. No, wait a minute. The last thing I did was I entered the Plane of Peril through the Portal of Power. So it's now the Highlander, and he can roll 2 dice for movement and has to choose 1. That's great, so he chooses a 6. And then he ends here at the Eyrie. Fight the Eagle King. The Eagle King has a strength 8 and craft 8. If you win, you may gain 1 relic and move to any space in the outer or middle region. If you have a standoff or are defeated, you move to the cracks. So it's this guy here. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so now we can choose if we attack the Eagle King with in battle or in psychic combat. And I will attack him, of course, in battle. I got a 10 plus 1 for the Horns of Power. And actually, I think because it's day, the Eagle King only has a 7. So that's a 10 plus 1 is an 11. Yeah, and I guess that's actually enough. Okay, so I do the attack now. That is a 14, and the Eagle King cannot do this. He only has a 7, so even if he rolls a 6, it's not possible for him to beat me here. So I killed the Eagle King, and then I'm allowed to gain a relic as a reward. That's a relic, so we have to draw a relic here. And that says Rage Talon. That's a magic object, a weapon. Add 2 to your strength during battle. If you defeat another character and force him to lose a life, the character cannot use armor to prevent the loss of life. Well, it's definitely an amazing weapon. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then we can decide where we want to go to, and I will end up here at the Portal of Power. So in the next turn I can then move to the Plane of Peril. And then it's the Tavern Maid, and she moves to the temple, and there she prays. And that is a 9, which is actually not bad, I guess. So that would be a spell. Okay, I mean, she could reroll one die. She could, because she's got a lot of fate tokens, so she can burn one of these fate tokens to reroll a die, because if she's lucky and rolls a 10, she gains actually a talisman. So I guess what she does is she tries again, 6 stays here, she rolls again, and if she rolls a 4, she would gain a talisman, and she has to risk it. I mean, there's not much time left, I guess, now. And that's again a 3. Okay, so she has to accept this. You can only reroll once. You can only use a fate token once per turn. So she now gains 1 spell. Okay. It's also pretty good, actually. And that is a spell call. We had that before. Cast immediately after any character casts a spell. Instead of placing the spell on the discard pile, you may take it. Well, okay. That's it, I guess. Okay, and now it's the Warlock, and he now moves the Way of Craft, which will bring him here through the mines. And now we will use this special fan-made expansion. Well, actually, I was wrong here. We do the mines just the normal way, and after that we have here a few cards. So that one is for that's the Vampire Tower here, and these are the Pit Fiends, and we simply draw the top card and see what happens. It might be just the usual stuff, but there are also a few surprises here, and that's for Dice with Death. And this is the Werewolf's Den. But first we got to do the mines the normal way. So we will roll 3 dice and then see what we have. We have a craft of 12. We have a fate token, so we are allowed to reroll one of the 3 dice. And, well, first we need a 3rd die, actually. Okay, here we are, 3 dice. Let's see what we get. As I said, we got a 12, craft of 12. Anything special? Well, I don't think so. No, that's it. And that is definitely enough. That's just a 7, so we can simply stay in the mines, and in the next turn we can move to the Vampire's Tower. So now it's the it is actually the Highlander. So now he can roll for movement, and that is a 1. Which will allow him to move the Reaper. And he can also try to move to the Plane of Peril now. And he's got a strength of 10. And then the Horns of Power, which gives him an additional strength. So he's at 11. Yeah. Okay. So only if he rolls a 12, he has to stay outside. No, that's a 4. So he's also allowed now to enter the Plane of Peril. And then he can move the Reaper. And that's a 6. So, I don't know. I mean, I think it's not really important now. 2, 4, 6. So the Reaper moves there. And then it's the tavern maid, and she wants to go here to the warlock's cave. And that's a 2. Okay, so she now moves here to the oasis, and he draws 1 additional card there. Oh, by the way, this guy here, the miner, yeah, exactly, he goes away. I thought if I don't pay him 1 gold, then he stays there and waits for 1 to pay him. But that's not the case. He simply moves away. I forgot that. But this is not so important, actually. Okay, and we got a wild boar here with a strength of 1. There's a wild boar roaming this area. Fine. So the maid attacks, and she has her flail. So yeah, okay, that's ridiculous. So she gains that trophy, and well, she might now trade this for another strength point. Though I'm not sure if this is such a great idea. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll wait a bit. I mean, she can also use this to gain money. If she discards the monster here, for example, that would give her 4. And if she has to deliver money for the talisman, it might be a good idea to keep this trophy now. Okay, so that's the maiden's turn. And it's now the warlock, and he moves here to the vampire's tower, and that's where he draws here the topmost card. You can see here they look absolutely amazing again. Sadly, I don't remember who has done these expansion, but this is just fantastic stuff. And well, that's cool. That's a vacant tower. The tower is empty. You may move on your next turn. That is pretty awesome, so nothing happened here. Just damn lucky here. So, and then it's the Highlander moves into the crypt, has to roll 3 dice. He's got a strength of 11. So, I guess it should be possible with a little bit of luck. That is close, but it's just enough actually. It's an 11, so he ends up here in the crypt and he can move on in the next turn. And then the tavern maid with a 5. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She ends up here at the Grace Hearted, and she will get 1 life point back, which is nice, but that's not what she needs. And again, the warlock. He moves into the pits and draws one of these cards. And that says Fiery Trail. Man, this guy is lucky. You find a way around the pit. You may move on your next turn. That's just amazing. I mean, you have in every deck you have one of these cards which allow you to simply move on, and he's just damn lucky now. So, and then it's the Highlander. He meets death, and he draws also a card. Let's see what he will meet. Well, that says the Tome. The test. You find an ancient tome and must translate the spell within. Roll a die and add your craft. If you score less than a 15, you are unable to translate the spell. You may add 1 for each consecutive attempt. If you score 15 or more, you translate the spell and may move on to the lair on your next turn. Okay, so this is really bad now. But that will stay here. And, well, basically, all these things, they stay there. So if now another one is trying to go this way, they know what to expect. So that's the tome. And this is pretty bad because he only has a very low craft. So that will take him forever. That's tough. Okay, fine. That's not really fair, I mean... But okay, we got now a 4. So she moves now here into the desert. I mean, it doesn't really matter anymore. I just wonder, maybe she's got something which allows her to... No. Okay, so she loses 1 life. She can draw 2 cards because of the Craven. She might have done that before, I don't know actually. She can now draw 2 cards. And that is Apparition. Okay, craft 1. A spectral apparition is haunting this area. It will remain here until it is killed. Okay, so that shouldn't be a big deal. She's got a craft of 7. So she attacks. Yeah, I mean, there is nothing that can go wrong here. So she gains that trophy here. And then we actually have a real surprise. A raft in the desert. Well, that is really unexpected and pretty useless. And I wonder if I can keep this. I have some items already. So let me see. 1, 2. That's a trinket. All trinkets. Well, I guess I can keep that now. Yeah, okay. Okay. Damn, that looks really bad now. It's pretty clear that the Warlock might win this, but I'm not done yet. So now he moves into the Valley of Fire. And there's something else, something special there. We got these cards here. And that is now a last guardian the Warlock has to fight. Okay, so let's see what this is. That's the Colossus. And it says, the Titanic Colossus looms before you. You must choose whether to fight it using strength or craft. If your total combat result is the same as or 1 higher than the Colossus, this fight is a draw. You must score 2 higher than the Colossus to defeat it. Okay. So fine. Well, actually, the Colossus, I think he has a -1 because it's daytime. I'm not absolutely sure if this actually counts in the inner region. That would be interesting. I think I gotta... Maybe I can check that. Okay, so it seems like this thing has now only a strength of 7 or a craft of 11. So I think we will fight it with strength. So we got a strength of 6 here. And then we got the Sword of Truth, which adds 1, so we are at 7. And we got the Defender of Justice, which brings us to 8. And the Wolf Slayer, so we have a 10. So this looks pretty good, and you simply can attack now. So that's a 15, and that's it actually. Yeah, that's definitely enough. So he managed to kill the Colossus, and well, I guess you can take him as a trophy, I would say. So, and once this Guardian is killed, there won't appear another one. So he's doing really good now. And this guy actually has a lot of trouble now. Yeah, the chance that he scores 15 or more is actually pretty ridiculous. He can only roll one die. Maybe there is some spell or something, but actually I really don't think so. Okay, I think he simply has to wait. He simply has to power through here. So now he's got a 3. And that's definitely not enough to make it. He needs at least a 9 to have a chance. So he will simply wait here, and you may add 1 for each consecutive attempt. So now he gains 1 more. Yeah. That's really bad. And then the Tavern Maid. A 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The castle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or the hills. So I guess she moves to the hills. She's allowed to draw 2 cards because of the Craven. And that says Divine Protection. An event. For the next 2 rounds, including this turn, characters do not lose life if creatures defeat them in battle or psychic combat. Okay, that's a nice little feature. And the Herbalist, a follower. Whenever you land on the forest or woods, you may heal 1 life. That is great. So, and now, it's the big moment. It's actually the Warlock. After a very easy run through the inner region, he's allowed to move to the Crown of Command. But it's not over yet. We will draw now the ending card. Okay, and again I also have a few fan-made endings. And I got the Horrible Black Void twice in the game. But actually, if the Horrible Black Void gets you, you don't lose right away. You are just teleported to the timescape, according to the old timescape rules of the 2nd edition. So let's see what happens. Let's draw this card. And it's... well, that looks interesting. The Netherworld. Whatever that means. The first character on the Crown of Command must roll 1 die to see what happens. Well, okay, let's see what happens. 1 to 4. Your alignment is now evil and you are sucked in the Netherworld. With your bestiality, you kill all other characters. You win the game. That sounds good. 5 or 6. Your real alignment is discovered. You are always good. You must ignore any instructions to change your alignment. Immediately teleport to the temple and pray. Okay, so that's kind of funny, but actually his chances are good to make it. I mean, he has still a fate token which he might use. So let's see. I mean, sometimes crazy things can happen in this game. So he rolls a die and that's a 3, so that's it. He made it. With your bestiality, you kill all other characters. You win the game. Okay, congratulations, my friend. The evil warlock now. Yeah, well, that was it. What an adventure. It's a little sad in the end that there was not a real climax actually, because of this of these two pretty boring cards. Usually these things can be much more interesting, and also he didn't have a chance. So that was a very bad coincidence here, that he had a card which killed him basically right away, while the other one had only cards which were completely easy. But okay. Okay, so a few words for this. I mean, I love Talisman and I had so much fun playing it. It was just amazing. It is amazingly long. Some people might say awfully long. For me, that's okay. I mean, that's what an epic adventure is about. But I understand if people complain about the duration of this game. You can expand it through the roof. There are, I don't know, there are 3 official big box expansions. Then I got 3 fan-made expansions, which are the same size as the big box expansions. And there are, I think, 4 small box expansions. So it's just amazing. And I kind of like the Highlands. I mean, I heard a lot of criticism about it, but I think it was pretty fun, and it was really good for the Highlander to go there because of all the hills. The city is cool. That was really interesting. Sadly, we didn't see much of the Darkland expansion. That's also a very good one, but okay, I mean, that gives us a reason to do more playthroughs in the future, I guess. So what about the difference to the second edition? I never had the first edition. As far as I understand, there is not such a big difference between the first and the second edition, except for the fact that the first edition was, I guess, in black and white. I think at least the adventure cards, but I'm not absolutely sure about that. And I also think that there were no expansions for the first edition. I also didn't play the third edition. So I'd only tried this second edition during my childhood and my youth, and I absolutely loved it. It was my absolute favorite game all the time. And then a few years ago I started this one. And the first thing that obviously comes to mind is the art. I mean, this is a different style compared to the second one, of course. I think it's more like the third edition. I lost my second edition through the years. I don't know, after all moving around in cities, and so I lost it. So I was happy to see that I could actually purchase a Talisman again, and I bought the 4th edition. And first I was quite disappointed because it's not the same. I mean, it's in the second edition it looks it's not so colorful, it's not so comic-like, it's a little more simplistic, and I prefer that. So in the end I ended up with buying the second edition, which costs actually a lot of money, especially if you want all the expansions and so on, but okay. But now I'm accustomed to this, and I really like that edition too. I think I like the artwork a lot. I think it looks really good, and I don't have any problems with it anymore. There are more expansions here than in the second edition, at least I think. And I think that's an advantage, of course. And you have one very interesting mechanism. This is the thing with the fate tokens. That's something that comes completely new with this edition. And, well, I think that reduces a little bit the luck factor in this game. If you can, I mean, it's still ridiculous. I mean, this game is basically completely luck. I don't think that there is much strategy to it. I know some people say, yeah, there are great strategies, but I have my doubts here, actually. I gotta be honest. I think it's basically luck. And with the fate tokens, you can a little bit, you have a little influence on this. For example, the risk to become a toad is not that high anymore. Or being killed by the Reaper is not that, I mean, the probability is not that high anymore. But as you can see, it can happen. It did happen, and well, yeah, I mean, that was the end of the Dark Cultist. Then you have miniatures, and I absolutely love these miniatures. I think they look absolutely fantastic. I recently started painting the miniatures, and I just love these miniatures. I mean, they look exactly like their pictures. So I think Fantasy Flight Game, they sorry, they really did a great job here. The same with the artwork on the cards. I really like the artwork on the cards now. I think that improved. But that's just my personal opinion. I mean, they had this more, I mean, they had a very special artwork in the second edition, and I also like that, but I kind of prefer that one. What I don't prefer is the fact that you have these really small cards here. These small Fantasy Fight Game cards that I don't like. I mean, I see for practical reasons it might be a good idea to have smaller cards. You can place them better on the board. The board might not be completely cluttered with cards. I see that this is an advantage. On the other hand, I would love to see the art in a, simply bigger art. I think that more detailed artwork, that would just be great. Overall, great game. 4th edition is fantastic. It's a, well, I think it's a worthy follower for the 2nd edition, which was the favorite game of many now adults during their childhood and their youth. And I think many people were maybe a little bit afraid, how can this 4th edition be nice? But it is. It's really absolutely fabulous. Expansions are great. So if you like Talisman, it's a wonderful game. You will love this edition. And if you have a problem with Talisman, with these simple roll and move games, well then it's definitely, of course, not your game. Okay. So, I hope to see you then in one of my next videos. Until then, bye.